What's up everybody, this is Rich with Lifetime Shred, and today we're talking about wakeboard pants. Now, I thought wakeboard pants were kind of a ridiculous idea for a while, as I'm sure a lot of other people do, but then I got thinking about it a little bit. Is there a functional reason to wear wake pants? And I definitely believe there is, especially on the cable. So in this video, we're going to talk about the functional reasons you might want to wear wake pants, and then through my own exploration, some qualities I would look for in a wake pant, and I'll even suggest my favorite pant to use for wakeboarding. So let's get into it. So why would you want to wear wakeboard pants other than making it part of your style? So number one reason you might want to wear wake pants: sun protection. Like, I'm out here, I'm exposed. You know, for me, more of a fair-skinned person, burns somewhat easily. Wake pants cover up your legs. You don't need to put sunblock on every 30, 45, 60 minutes. Wakeboard pants are going to offer full protection from your UVA and UVB rays. It's just one less thing to worry about. So I think that one's really big, and that was definitely, I think, the thing that got me to check it out. So that's reason number one, sun protection. Reason number two, abrasion resistance. You know, there are people that skateboard and stuff in shorts, but most people skateboard in jeans or khakis or something like that, cargo pants. Reason is, if you've ever taken a skateboard to the shin or a curb to the shin or something like that, it hurts a lot. And just having that little bit of cloth there, whether it's jeans or something else, it does make a difference to avoid that ripping of your skin. And I'd say the same thing on a wakeboard, especially in the cable park. You know, if you've ever kind of hit a plastic seam against your skin, it could super easily cut you up. And, you know, just having a little bit of fabric between you and that feature just is going to give you a lot better chance to get out of there generally unscathed. So that's reason number two, abrasion resistance. Reason number three, warmth. You know, in my experience, there's two ways you can insulate wakeboarding, and really people have only been doing one for a long time, and I actually think they work together. But before I talk about that, let's talk about snowboarding or skiing. You typically layer. You've got an underlayer, you've got a fleece, you've got a shell. Well, wakeboarding has something very similar, and I think kiteboarders know this, especially because I've seen it much more normalized in their space. But neoprene's kind of like your underlayer, your fleece. You know, the way neoprene works, the water fills up the cells of the neoprene, and then your body keeps that water warm. It's your insulator. But wind can definitely come through neoprene. That's why some jackets or wetsuits have different materials on the front, you know, like the shark skin type stuff. That's meant to be wind resistant. Not all neoprene has that. But what if you could just wear a windbreaker over your wetsuit? That would stop the wind from coming through, plus allow the neoprene to do its work. So just like snowboarding and skiing, it's an insulation process. Wake pants is the same thing, you know, made out of some kind of mostly synthetic material to block the wind so that your neoprene legs, whatever's covering your legs, can do an extra good job of keeping you insulated. And that's why you'll see some riders out there wearing like a full suit with maybe some windbreaker pants and a windbreaker jacket over it. So they're really just kind of mimicking what we see in snow sports, where you've got a shell and an insulator layer. So stay warmer out there. That's another good reason. So yeah, between those three reasons, I think you have a lot of great aspects of wake pants from a fundamental perspective. And, you know, some of those I'd say apply a little more to the cable. Like if you're out in the sun all day at the cable park, that's going to be more impactful there. Definitely on the abrasion resistance, you know, generally when you're riding boat, it's not a problem. I mean, you could get hit by your own board, but I don't really think that happens super often. At least that hasn't happened for me, knock on wood. So that one's more of a cable thing too. And then also the warmth thing though could be for boat. Like if you're rocking a full suit and it's just not enough, having that wind resistant layer over it could be very helpful on the boat. Now there are some downsides to wearing wake pants that I've discovered as well. Swimming, like you know, crash off the kicker or something of the cable and you're swimming back, it's just a little bit more drag in the water, not as free feeling as a pair of board shorts. But really with the right pants, it's not that bad. You know, I think if you have the right pants too, it doesn't really make you feel heavier when you're riding. The wrong pants could definitely feel heavy and kind of like resistant to your motion. But we'll get into in a sec what I think it makes a good wakeboard pant, and this is going to all play into that. So with that said, let's talk about that. So I've tried a few different pants, and I brought some options out here. You know, the first thing was like kind of like some of these Adidas pants I've seen, and I found these work pretty good, but they are very slim. And just this fabric, it's a very, it's a synthetic, but it just feels like it absorbs a little bit. You know, specifically these pants are 55% polyester, Actually, no, they're mostly polyester with a little bit of elastic in it. So, you know, they do have some flex, which I did think was a good thing about these. But the other thing, when they're too slim, which I would definitely say these are like my gym pants, the water gets into it and it like sucks to your leg. So I didn't really like that. Another pant I tried out that was kind of similar to this, but a little bit baggier, was the 686 Featherlight pants. They're everywhere pants, yeah. And those ones too, like, it was a very thin fabric, and it was so thin that it would like suck to your leg while you're riding. Like any wind, it was like, just wasn't a very comfortable feel. So based on that, you know, you've got fabrics you're dealing with, you also have the weight of the fabric, and I wouldn't go too lightweight. That was a mistake I made at first. You know, and then in terms of materials, I also tried out like a baggier pair of polyester windbreaker pants, because I was like, oh, that makes sense. But when I got on this doesn't have any elastic, any give, and you could definitely feel the resistance unless you're in like a really baggy pair. Like certain motions, because there was no elastic in the fabric itself, there was definitely some resistance, and I didn't like that. And, you know, if you think about a board short, most board shorts have some kind of elastic in it so you can move with it, where a pair without, like some older pairs, it just doesn't move, doesn't feel very good. Another thing I'd call it that I discovered with these pants is the elastic at the bottom. Be wary of this. I don't think the elastic at the bottom is a good idea, because you're gonna get water in the legs when you crash, and if this is too tight, it's gonna trap the water and you're gonna end up with a big like bubble above your boots. And you know, you can open up the bottom, drain that out, but too much elastic, too tight at the bottom, which was true with this pair and with this pair. You know, this one's like, the water could move through it a little easier. Not very good. So yeah, not a fan of 100% polyester, or really polyester in general based on my experiences. Now the pant that I think is amazing is something nylon. So this is a nylon blend. Yeah, so we're at 94% nylon, 6% elastic. I don't know if you're gonna be able to read that there. But what I found with the nylon elastic blend, the nylon's a little bit heavier, at least it is in this pant. It's not super heavy, you know, it's not as heavy as, say, like a pair of snowboard pants, but it's almost like a pair of snowboard pants, but with no insulation. It's just one layer here. And I found with the elastic, it moves very well, but this fabric's still thick enough that it doesn't suck to my leg, and it allows the water to wash off it when I'm riding. And, you know, I'm throwing some clips up here while I'm talking, and you'll kind of see what it looks like there. You kind of see in the wind, like it's flapping around a little bit, which I think is a good thing, instead of being sucked to my leg. And with this pant too, it does have an elastic at the bottom, but it's not a mandatory elastic. I was able to adjust it. I still found that the water was getting trapped down there, so I actually did a little modification, and I put these little eyelets at the bottom, like little drain holes, and I did find that helped. So this pant in particular, I've got one on each side in the back. But anyway, to reveal what I think is the best wake pant, at least that I've found so far after trying a few things, it's actually a pair of North Face climbing pants. So this is the Class 5 climbing pant. You can pick these up on eBay used for like 25 bucks or something like that. But yeah, part of what drew me to this pant was I really like the knee patches, because it just makes me think of snowboarding. Like all my snowboard pants that I've had in the last 10 years all have that style, kind of that 90s throwback. It's also decently baggy. Like I'm a 32, 33 waist, and these were the mediums, and you'll see in the clips, like it's not super baggy, but I didn't want that super parachute look. I just wanted to be able to move well. And these do that very well. This almost actually just feels like a board short. And the other thing too, you know, it has pockets. They're mesh-lined pockets with holes in them so they drain. These are all like little things that you would typically see in a pair of swim shorts or board shorts. And these actually remind me a lot of like, it's a different feel than, say, like a Quicksilver or Billabong, but almost like a pair of Patagonia board shorts. Like it's this kind of rustic nylon feel. You know, another thing I'd say about this pant with this nylon mix, I kind of mentioned it before, but it dries pretty fast. Like a lot of times if I was on the shore, you know, I'd be hanging out there, and within 20-25 minutes these things were pretty dry. Whereas what I was wearing underneath, because I wear a pair of like really thin neoprene shorts underneath, those were still definitely wet. But that's kind of neoprene, right? Neoprene's absorbing the water, holding the water to keep you warm. So really good. You know, in terms of other fabrics out there, I would avoid cotton. You know, yeah, you could go thrift store some pants that look sick. I've seen videos of people riding in jeans and stuff, but You know, cotton absorbs multiple times its weight in water. It's not going to be, it's not going to move with you. It's going to be heavy and annoying. It's probably going to ruin your experience. So I'd stay away from that. You know, polyester could be okay, but I found I didn't like it as much. But really this nylon elastic mix, I think this is it, especially in like a medium weight. But yeah, that's wake pants, I guess. Kind of nerdy. Hopefully I'm not ruining it for the youth, but I definitely think there's a functional reason to have a pair in your arsenal, even if you don't rock them every time you ride. For me personally, I probably will rock them. Pretty standard issue at cable parks going forward for all the reasons I've already said. And I'll probably be in board shorts on the boat unless it's a really cold day and I'm trying to insulate and protect myself from the wind. So just to summarize, what I would personally look for in a wake pant is a nylon pant, medium weight fabric with a little bit of elastic in it. I'd make sure it's baggy enough for you to move in. Also make sure that there's no tight mandatory elastic on the bottom, because that's just going to get water sucked in there and that's going to suck. I would definitely comment below if there are any pants that you think make great wake pants. I think there's been a company or two more recently that have tried making them. Obviously there's the classic Shane Bonifay jet pilot pants from 25 years ago, probably 25 years ago. You know, I even have like an old catalog throwing back to the original jet pilot Shane Bonifay wake pants, and they look like there's some kind of nylon mix. I don't really know. But you know, maybe wake pants didn't catch on back in the day because people weren't riding cable yet, and a lot of the advantages of wake pants don't really make as much sense on the boat. That's my little hypothesis there. Hopefully that was some useful information. If you have any questions, I'll link some examples of the pants I like down here in the description. But yeah, if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. But anyway, with that, comment, subscribe, any wake pants that you think people should check out. And with that, I bid you adieu. Hope you're having fun out there this summer. I'm having a blast. Probably be riding cable. Probably be a little bit before I ride cable. Kind of focused back on boat right now that we're in the heat of summer out here in Utah. All right, catch you later. Bye.